Look, City first half were unrecognisable. And three things that really stood out for me. One was the passing of the ball. It was too slow. It was laboured. Secondly was Grealish and Mahrez, I think, passing the ball back the way all the time and not being positive enough and driving forward at the fullbacks and committing. And the third thing was, which to be fair, I never see Pep Guardiola's team get this wrong, was the positions of the players, particularly, I would say, Mahrez and Grealish, and I think the two full-backs. They were almost in two traditional positions that we see from every team. So I'm just going to point out here, you'd expect to see in most teams, you know, your full-back, left full-back, right full-back high, in predictable positions, stood there waiting for the ball. That's not how Manchester City do this. That's not how they create their space. And they've got basically then a situation where Mahrez is tucked in too deep and too narrow. Grealish was getting caught up in positions like that far too often, and they clogged the space up of Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne and couldn't get them on the ball and couldn't let them operate. And this happens the whole of the first half, and it was infuriating to watch when you know full well they never get this wrong. Pep Guardiola, we've heard it over the years, we've seen it over the years, it's all about positions, methodical repetition of being in the right position, and it just needed for him to get to half-time. West Ham were fantastic. They allowed their back four to stay narrow, they were compact. However, the very first moment of the second half, it changed. This is directly from kick-off. And the difference. What do Manchester City do with their full-backs? Cancelo and Zinchenko, they took in narrow. One, to get onto the ball, to bring the opposition wide players in, to create the space in the wide areas, but also to stop counter-attack, which was a big threat for West Ham. So they straight away flipped their positions. Mahrez and Grealish on the touchline, basically hugging the touchline where they are. And what that then all of a sudden allows Manchester City to do, and like you say, it's almost like clockwork every single week, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, they get into those little bit inside channels, and that's where City create all their problems, and you can't really deal with it. So as it comes across, Sofal, the fullback, he's got Bernardo Silva there, he's got Grealish there. He can't go out too early to Grealish because he leaves Bernardo Silva. He's always got that decision to make. Playing against Manchester City is a disaster. Grealish is more positive, and all of a sudden those channels open up, and the things that Manchester City are really good at start to happen. And then you think, right, this is a different match. We've got one more example of it. And it was really bizarre to watch Manchester City in the first half play like this. You'll see it as they come in here. The two full-backs are in narrow again. Mahrez on this side. De Bruyne just hovering. We know what he's going to do. We know he's going to make that run. We know that if you don't get across as a centre-back, that space between centre-back and full-back you'll be pulled apart, and they're in. And Grealish getting at the back post, he was far better in the second half. So it was a big thing, really, that change of plan. It's a change of plan. It was going back to the original plan, the plan he's always had. It was so bizarre to see them in the first half. And just, I think Grealish and Mahrez were the key to it. First half, we'll just see here, you know, in that business area around there, not too many touches. Look at Grealish in the second half and the positions. Sorry, I've just... What's going on there?
Like City's first half, that.
So there you go. You see those touches there. Mahrez, exactly the same. Second half, those touches in that business area. First half, very few. And it basically then translated into this, where, you know, passes in the final third, Grealish, second half, 23 to 16 in the first half. Mahrez, 14 to 4. The big one, percentage of passes in the final third, 64% of the passes in the second half to 22 in the first, 85 to 70. And the big one for Mahrez was 50% of his passes in the first half were going back. Grealish, nearly 50%. He still needs to do better at that, Jack Grealish. He's got to stop passing the ball back simply too easy. But in the second half, Mahrez was driving it, and it just unlocked the whole game, and they should have got the win. Nearly got the penalty in the end, Mahrez. So it was just really bizarre to see them in the first half play as they did, get the positions wrong, because they never do that.
West Ham made it very difficult for them as well. Can Aston Villa learn anything from that for the final day?
Yes, and Aston Villa have the type of players you think of the